So a while back, Michael Vick was on a podcast and lauded some praise on his former coach, Andy Reid. Now obviously someone like Vick will have a lot of love for the coach that got him back into the league after some off-the-field shenanigans, and it is well deserved. Pretty much every quarterback Reid had thrived with him. Donovan McNabb was getting some MVP buzz his first few seasons. Jeff Garcia was exceptional when he got some playing time in 2006. Got the best passing seasons out of the aforementioned Vick's career fresh out of the doghouse. Pun intended. Alex Smith made 3 Pro Bowls in 6 seasons, and Patrick Mahomes is, well, Patrick Mahomes. But this video isn't about Andy Reid. You and I know he's great. You and I know he'll be in the Hall of Fame someday. This video is about the man Vick made some subtle comparisons to in Bill Belichick. It seems to be agreed upon by just about everyone that Belichick is the best coach in NFL history, and I'm inclined to agree. I mean, come on, his resume speaks for itself. But as Vick said, pretty much every major accomplishment he's been a part of as a head coach in the NFL is linked to his quarterback, Tom Brady. His resume with the 199th pick in the 2000 draft is as decorated as one could dream of. His resume without him, not so much. I'm not here to tell you that Belichick's coaching tenure is a sham, but I am here to make the case that some conversations about where his legacy lies need to be had, and why it's not as secure as you think. We're gonna have to go back to where it all began, so if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go hop in my time machine. It's time to rewind to the early 1990s. After spending 15 years working his way up the coaching ranks as a defensive wizard, Bill Belichick got his first head coaching gig with the Cleveland Browns. Although Cleveland wasn't too far removed from being a contender in the AFC, they fell all the way to 3-13 in 1990 with the league's worst defense. His first 3 seasons in Cleveland were nothing to write home about, but he broke out in 1994 with an 11-5 season, the NFL's very best defense, and a playoff win against, ironically, the Patriots. Heading into 1995, the Browns had the 8th best Super Bowl odds and played like it with a 3-1 start. However, prior to a Week 10 game against the Houston Oilers, news had spread that owner Art Modell intended to move the franchise to Baltimore after the next season. The Browns were blown out not 48 hours later, and Modell made the move official the next day. The Browns finished 5-11, and Belichick was fired. All in all, Bill Belichick amassed a 36-44 record in 5 seasons with Cleveland, and only 1 playoff win. After a year as an assistant with, get this, the Patriots, Belichick spent the next 3 seasons as the defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. He manned top 10 defenses all 3 years and seemed ready to take another head coaching gig. When Bill Parcells stepped down in 2000, he passed the torch to Belichick to fill his shoes in New York. However, the next day, out of nowhere, he resigned, writing his letter of resignation on a napkin. The reason as to why seems to be a mystery. No one in his circle is particularly willing to spill the beans. Some speculate that Belichick and the Patriots had done some backdoor dealing while he was with the Jets. In any event, Belichick became the head coach of the New England Patriots heading into the turn of the century, along with majority control over the roster. In that year's draft, they spent the 199th overall pick on a quarterback, a tall, gangly-looking kid out of Michigan. You don't need me to lecture you about New England's fortune with Tom Brady as the signal caller. 2 decades and a mountain of trophies later, the Patriots have cemented themselves as one of the greatest dynasties in sports history. However, since this video is about Belichick's legacy due to his resume minus Brady, let's discuss his performance in New England, past and present, when someone else was throwing the football. In 2000, Belichick and the Patriots were doomed by 9 one-score losses, plummeting their record to 5-11. Drew Bledsoe was the franchise quarterback, and Tom Brady only threw 3 passes. Brady took over afterward in 2001 and never looked back. In Week 1 of the 2008 season against the Chiefs, Tom Brady suffered a torn ACL and was lost for the year. Belichick's quarterback went from the reigning MVP to a man who hadn't yet thrown 40 passes in his career and didn't start a single game either in the NFL or in college at USC, Matt Castle. Fun fact, current Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell threw 6 passes for this team too. In what is easily the most impressive feat on Belichick's Brady-less resume, the 2008 Patriots finished 11-5 and scraped together the NFL's 8th-ranked offense. However, due to losing the AFC East tiebreaker to Miami and the wildcard tiebreaker to Baltimore, New England found themselves watching January football at home. Quite the step back from going 16-0 the previous year. Castle was fine as the Patriots QB, but a clear downgrade from Brady. This should be expected because, duh, no shit it is, but I think these Patriots deserve a somewhat deeper look. Although many seem to view the 11-5 Pats' fate as bad luck, I think it was a somewhat deceiving 11-5. The culprit? The 2008 Patriots had a very easy schedule. with an SOS stat of -2.4, the 4th lowest in the league. They played 6 playoff teams during this season and went 2-4 in those games. Oh, by the way, 2 of those opponents were 9-7 Arizona and 8-8 San Diego. They were 1-3 against teams with double-digit wins. Don't get me wrong, this was still a pretty good team, but I do believe the 11-5 record is slightly deceiving. After spending the next decade plus winning some more, Brady and the Patriots couldn't agree on a long-term contract extension. Brady was sick of taking pay cuts with no influence as to how New England used the money they got to stash by not ponying up the big bucks. However, depending on who you ask, the deterioration of Tom and Bill's relationship may have begun sooner. In 2017, when New England dealt backup quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo to San Francisco, sources close to both Belichick and 49ers GM John Lynch claimed that Belichick actually offered Brady to the Niners as a counter, which owner Robert Kraft swiftly shut down. This led to a rift between the quarterback and the franchise, which ultimately led to Brady's exit in 2020. The validity of these claims are for you to decide, but I think these events are worth keeping in mind considering the trajectory of the two men's careers since the turn of the decade. Anyways, New England began life after Brady with the intention of snagging a new franchise signal caller and transitioning into a new era. Although they teased some with Jarrett Stidham for a time, they settled on former MVP Cam Newton. Onward, they said. Well, although the 2020 Patriots had their moments, a 4-game losing streak in October and a 3-game one in December sunk their season, finishing with a 7-9 record and their first playoff miss in 12 years, where coincidentally the Patriots were also without Brady. New England's offense regressed big time under Newton, going from 26 points per game to a shade under 20. They were held under 21 points 8 times, and it was clear their chokehold in the AFC East had been surrendered to the team 450 miles west, whose own franchise quarterback was just breaking out. As for Brady himself, things were going just a tad bit better. So, now what? The 2020 season couldn't possibly have been more draining to Bill Belichick's ego. Clearly something needed to change, and change they did. Belichick and the Patriots splurged in free agency, signing numerous big names on the market, a tactic unforeseen given their traditional offseason tendencies, especially when you recall Tom Brady's disapproval of his lack of input in how New England went about free agency. On top of that, the time had come for the Patriots to acquire their new field general, spending the 15th overall pick in the draft on Alabama's Mac Jones. Despite initial intentions to keep Cam Newton around, they instead gave him the pink slip, handing Mac the keys to the franchise. For a while, it seemed like Belichick's aggressive moves in the offseason were paying off. The 2021 Patriots improved on both offense and defense, rattled off a 7-game winning streak, finished 10-7, and although they couldn't dethrone the Bills in the AFC East, it was enough to snag the 6th seed in the AFC playoffs. Mac Jones' rookie season left quite a bit to be desired, but it was solid nonetheless and good enough to claim a Pro Bowl spot. For the first time since 1994, Belichick found himself in the playoffs with a quarterback other than Tom Brady. New England's first test would be against the very same Bills that conquered the AFC East after Brady left. The Pats and Bills split their 2 regular season matchups, the former of which was a 14-10 snooze fest in Orchard Park, where Jones only threw 3 passes. In a playoff grudge match, how would defensive wizard Bill Belichick fare against a division rival that he's all too familiar with?
Looking, waits, the patience. Allen turns the corner and he will toss it back in the end zone. Touchdown! This season, Jones pump, rifle downfield, intercepted. Slide. Second down and 1. Singletary straight ahead. Cut to the outside. Singletary all the way. Touchdown, Buffalo. Play action. Allen. Deep downfield. Wide open. Touchdown, Emmanuel Sanders. Second down and 6. Allen. Caught. Touchdown, Gabriel Davis. Fake it. Allen looks downfield. Whips it. Caught. Dawson Knox.
The Bills became the first team in NFL history to score a touchdown on every single offensive drive they had in a game. That's a mark that'll forever be on Bill Belichick's resume. Oh, and Tom Brady led the NFL in passing yards and touchdowns and was the MVP runner-up at age 44. Not fun. As for 2022, there's really not a whole lot to say. You could copy-paste a lot of the things I said about their 2020 season and it would apply here. Their offense was mediocre, Mac Jones regressed, and they lost 3 of their last 4 to finish 8-9 and miss the playoffs. Jones may deserve a bit of a pass for his sophomore slump, considering Matt fucking Patricia was calling offensive plays. Just remember, that was Belichick's idea. So, to summarize, going back to 1991, Bill Belichick has a record of 79-88 without Tom Brady as his quarterback. In the 3 years since Brady left New England, he has a record of 25-25 with a blowout loss in the playoffs. With Tom Brady, he has an unprecedented record of 219-64. In 10 Brady-less seasons, he hasn't won a division title and has had 7 losing seasons. That brings us to today. New England's stock is the lowest it's ever been in the 21st century. There are huge question marks around whether or not Mac Jones is the guy moving forward, and each season that goes by without success makes Bill Belichick look worse and worse. And I didn't even get into Belichick's management of the team, his questionable drafting on offense, or the fact that a lot of his coaching disciples have been complete and utter flops. To reiterate what I said at the start of this video, I'm not here to tell you that Bill Belichick is a fraudulent coach. No one has accomplished nearly as much as he has, and probably never will. The 2001 to 2019 Patriots were an unprecedented run of dominance that we may never see again, although Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs have a chance of getting there. However, again, I believe it would be foolish at this point to not at least question his legacy, especially considering the rumors that his seat is starting to get warm entering the 2023 season. This entire discourse would be even more alarming if the rumors that Belichick essentially ran Brady out of town are true. With that being said, I'll leave the final verdict up to you. Am I looking too deep into things here? Is this entire discussion a waste of time since Bill Belichick's resume is so decorated? Or is it fair to have genuine questions about where his legacy lies? I lean towards the latter.